I made a spreadsheet of laws concerning white-collared crime. I'd found it in a book I was doing research in. I wrote down the various legal codes that I thought were germane to what I had been trying to identify and get someone to assist me on in regards to white collar crime. This was the kind of charge I was seeking assistance with when I approached a person representing himself as the chief of police of the Houston Police Department on December 12th of 2016. I've received no response. I've received no assistance with this. Unfortunately, what started as one charge and understanding and contextualization of charges at that time has been revealed to be a part of a continuing criminal enterprise that unfortunately has been proven to have very significant and severe consequences. My concern is that what has happened is that there have been allowed to be civil penalties that have been assessed to various financial institutions as well as certain companies that are culpable persons in this continuing criminal enterprise. And in addition to allowing for those fees or financial penalties to be recirculated as operating cost for the business of concern, they also have the effect oftentimes of requiring some form of confidentiality agreement or non disclose on the actual terms of the settlement agreement, which also has the impact of removing the potential that the charges and the findings in the investigation leading to the fee are actually available to be used as evidence by other people that have been engaged or have been defrauded or have experienced other crimes that are connected to whatever is allowed to masquerade as some sort of civil charge with a civil penalty assessed to it. White collar crime can be very severe. As a matter of fact, it is the primary foundation upon which acts of terrorism get financed, acts of extortion get accomplished, acts of trafficking occur, acts of murder are brokered. 8:46 a.m. D. A financial institution or agency that violates any provision of subsection I or J of section 5318 or any special measures imposed under section 5318A or any regulation prescribed under subsection I or J of section 5318 or section 5318A shall be fined in an amount equal to not less than two times the amount of the transaction, but not more than $1 million. Regarding 31 U.S.C. Section 5322, criminal penalties. In regards to Section 324, disposing and extending the maturity of obligations. Can Treasury act to cancel obligations connected to licenses that are justifiably seizable due to the licensee's role in acts that qualify under the above? 8:55 a.m. Section 774, Survivor Annuities. Can it be proven that there was manipulation of the annuities benefits connected to Justice Antonin Scalia, Senator John McCain, Representative Elijah Cummings, or going back further, Congressman Frank Tejeda? Public Law 97 258. 8:59 a.m. 31 U.S.C. Section 5324, structuring transactions to evade reporting requirement prohibited. Can this be assessed in consideration of the request regarding the quote inaccuracies end quote in the report from the Department of State? This is regarding an audit that had a cover letter dated for October 31st, 2019. That was the topic of a report that I provided last weekend online that I made a public notice in regards to. 8:49 a.m. Prior to that, can I file a petition for judicial review for the Comptroller report from 1980 reviewing the Department of Energy? Section 755, Judicial Review. That was the first part of the two-part report. 9:05 a.m. USC text section 9603. This is important as I just noticed that there is a 40-year benchmark this December 11th. Not only that, but can refusal to report the use of illegal derivatives used in the underwriting on insurance policies connected to gas and oil or petrochem pipelines or facilities, as at least 3 incidents in Texas have been, appropriate for consideration of the herein mentioned. Now, the actual code of concern is in regards to notification requirements respecting released substances, 42 USC section 9603. Then there is another one. I will read the code first. 26 CFR section 1.6050I-1, returns relating to cash in excess of $10,000 received in a trade or business. Actually, the first, insofar as the patient notes that were composed on me in San Francisco had 5 references to me receiving $10,000 when that was an inaccurate amount, and it only occurred once, and there was not the additional terminal hedge on the 5th installment. See, this refers to the fact that I'd received $24,000 in back Social Security, allegedly for lost wages for the previous 2 years, when it was reflected on my patient notes in 5 different sessions that I had received $10,000 each time, indicated at the bottom of the notes concerning that particular session, the 5th time, implying that the transactions had been cut off, which makes it look in an aggregate that I had received a total of $50,000 when the actual amount of what I received and reported during the session had not been put into the record. (9:15 a.m.) A. General. The manipulative and deceptive devices prohibited by Section 10b of the Act 15 U.S.C. 78J and Section 240.10b-5 thereunder include, among other things, the purchase or sale of a security of any issuer on the basis of material non-public information about that security or issuer, in breach of a duty of trust or confidence that is owed directly, indirectly, or derivatively to the issuer of that security or the shareholders of that issuer, or to any other person who is the source of the material non-public information. See, if there are laws on how to engage derivatives and you do not follow them, then that is certainly a deceptive device. Now, what now about all those medical device fraud busts from Medicare? But also, what about sitting on reports of fraud to government agencies, changing the laws, and then allowing for information in them to be sold as products in the private sector or paid out as contracts to others who have provided options on kickbacks earlier or used prior contracts to illegally expropriate assets connected to the source or sources of the non-public information? Quote, a purchase or sale is not pursuant to a contract, instruction, or plan if, among other things, the person who entered into the contract, instruction, or plan altered or deviated from the contract, instruction, or plan to purchase or sell securities, whether by changing the amount, price, or timing of the purchase or sale, or entered into or altered a corresponding or hedging transaction or position with respect to those securities. If you engaged in some sort of venture capital scheme where you were going to tell people that they had some sort of mental illness and then they were required to meet certain standards in terms of demonstrating their compliance with the treatment that had been planned for them, and you were using it in some sort of opposing index strategy to waive off your colleagues' liabilities and gamble on their life and their resource acquisition to cover up for your fraud and crime, up to and including smuggling drugs, smuggling weapons, smuggling people, financing acts of domestic or international terrorism, or engaging in acts of political reprisal, up to and including assassination. I contend that you are a culpable person and you are eligible to be a respondent.